Hey, welcome back to the Disney Plus Everyday Challenge, and today we have the original classic Cinderella from 1950. This is an hour and 18-minute long movie, and it's a classic for a reason. It's one of the early films. I mean, sure, yes, Snow White came first, and Pinocchio and Fantasia and everything else. Bambi, yeah, but this sort of brought back Disney back into uh, the good graces of the audiences because the last few didn't do too well due to a Second World War or something that happened around that time in the 40s. So people were ready to get back to the movies, and Cinderella was there with a classic fairy tale story. This some people may not realize this, but Disney didn't invent Cinderella. Disney is just one more interpretation. This story has been told. Nobody owns the rights to Cinderella, the story, because it's a couple thousand years old. Almost, yeah. No, it's at least a couple. It's about 2,000 years old. I think it started in Egypt, and it started getting written down, usually around Europe, in Italy, in fact, in gosh, just much more recently than that. Let's just say that I can't remember which year it was or which era it was, but yeah, it's been adapted into Grimm's fairy tales. They did their own version of it. So yeah, there's a big history behind this. It's a story about a girl who pretty much lives life growing up oppressed by her evil stepmother and stepsisters, even though it's a life that she was never meant to live. Her father loved her, but he passed away after marrying, and well, things went downhill after that. And somehow, though, this woman is magical enough uh, innately to communicate with animals, birds and mice, and they're her friends, and that might, for some people, might consider that she might be a little bit crazy. Don't know. But in this, it's a feature, not a defect. So she, Cinderella, and yes, it's a nickname given to her because she's not. She's a Cinder Girl. Cinder Girl. She's dirty. She's basically a servant in her own home. But yeah, it's not like I'm gonna tell you anything for the most part about this story that you don't already know. I As I watched this, I realized, yeah, I know the songs, Bippity Boppity Boo, A Dream is a Wish Your Heart Makes. I've lived in Disneyland for the last good decade or so, and these songs are always playing somewhere in rotation, especially around Fantasyland. So yeah, it's it's part of the DNA of Disney, and I've experienced all these things, but I realize I probably have not ever seen this movie as a whole as an adult. Yeah, I know it's really weird, but again, it's not the kind of movie that necessarily when you're a kid that your parents will be like, hey, you know what? That boy wants to watch. He should be watching that Cinderella. It's you know, when I was growing up, uh, let's just say there was very specific gender roles. So, so yeah, people were deathly afraid of harming their children by making boys watch things that were made for girls or girls watching things made for boys. So no GI Joe for the ladies, no Cinderella for the boys, no Barbie. So yeah, it was that time. So I'm super old. So but anyway, this idea is, yeah, that's probably why I never saw it. But yeah, you knew all the elements, you know the music, you know the characters, Gus and Jacques, and yeah, and of course there's been sequels made since in the last like 20 years or so. Uh, there was a point when Disney was making a ton of sequels to all their classics. Just let's revisit everything, even though everybody who was originally made and involved in the original film is dead now. You know, we can recast everybody. Why not? And we saw the two Cinderella sequels already on this series because it's random and that's how it gets picked. So we're finally done with Cinderella movies now that we've done the original. But yeah, it's those two don't compare anything. They're Saturday morning cartoons compared to what this is. It's animated in a way that we don't necessarily do anymore. Yeah, we do motion capture for digital, effects films, digital characters, and things like that. But back in the day, this was all filmed with an actual real physical cast, and then each frame was animated over top of it. So there's live action video capture of all of these scenes. I don't know if any of that exists anymore. There, maybe it's in the extras. I don't know. But here, for the film's purpose, you can see when an actual human is making the expressions that they've animated over these characters. And of course, you wouldn't have it for the mice or the birds or the dog or the horse or the pumpkin or whatever. Those obviously are animated in a different way, but they meld them all flawlessly. It looks gorgeous. It's a piece of animation history, and read up on the process of it when you get a chance. Even more so, Snow White and the multiplane camera and everything else that they used. It's technology that it is ancient to us now, by the way we animate things for film and television, but and video games too. But back then it was cutting edge, and it's astounding the steps we've taken to get to where we are, and this still holds up. There's so many things because I just only ever saw the highlight reels for the most part, I guess. Or again, if I saw it, I was too young to remember any of the details. They spent an awful lot of time with her and the animals. Yeah, there's an awful lot of time, and eventually, when they get tired of showing that interaction and also establishing her relationship with her stepmother and stepsisters, they skip over to the king and his aide, and they just talk about Prince Charming. He doesn't even make an appearance in the film until the ball, which the whole thing, none of this was going to happen. Her life was not going to change at all. She was going to grow old, alone, and miserable at the behest of her stepmother if the king did not want grandchildren. That's what he wanted. He wanted to hear the pitter patter of little feet around. He wanted to get his son married, and he was back from some trip, I guess. And guess what? It's now he has made a ding. People are texting me. Dang it. He just wanted to have grandchildren, and again, another situation where it's a Disney thing, so there's only one parent. No level-headed wife, queen, to basically say, calm it down. Just calm down. Don't force the son into something. I think that's what maybe that's why Disney does that, because they only have one parent, and there's nobody to balance them out sometimes, and to stop their impulsive actions. I'm not saying that you can't be a good single parent. I'm just saying that in these Disney films, that might be the case. So, yeah, like Triton gets all really huffy when Ariel disobeys him, and rightfully so, he's angry, but, if he had a wife that was with him, that was just sort of like, Triton, seriously, calm down. We'll get her back. She's being a girl, She's being a teenager. That's a better way to put it. Sorry, I said she's being a girl. She's being a teenager, and we all know what that's like. So yeah, it's with Cinderella though. Yeah, it's a big piece of Disney history. The animation is great. The music is beautiful. Even just moments with her just singing along to whatever. She mesmerizes even the villainous cat Lucifer, as compared, when she's singing the same song as her stepsisters, and stepsisters are singing horribly. She sings it beautifully, and the cat, who doesn't like her, is like, I like that sound. So yeah, this is a piece of history. If you're a big Disney fan, if you have Disney Plus, obviously you should be watching all the classics. It's if you've never watched them, or if you have not watched them for a long time, and that's why I made this. So it gives me an excuse to watch them. I have to do this every day. And now I have an excuse to watch Cinderella, where it might have been maybe not close to the top of my list of things I wanted to watch. Seeing all the Marvel stuff and all the Star Wars stuff, but I tend to watch that stuff again more than I watch stuff that's new, and certainly wouldn't be watching most of the stuff on the Disney Channel. It just wasn't from my era. I wasn't a kid during that time, so I wouldn't revisit that. But the classics, definitely something you want to revisit and or see for the very first time. And that's what I've done. That's what I'm doing here. So I'm very happy that I finally can say that I've fully seen all of Cinderella, and you should too. So let's pick tomorrow's episode.
177.
177. Oh, okay. All right. I know exactly. There's certain movies that that you see. I can remember when I saw this film for the very first time. It is, in fact, the very first time I saw a digitally animated film in 3D. So, yeah, we're going to be watching. Why did I put it down? Jeez. We're going to be watching Finding Nemo. That's what's coming up next from Pixar. Finding Nemo on the Disney Plus Everyday Challenge. I'll see you back here tomorrow with that.